Hi guys, welcome back to 19th video tutorial of J2W. In this series of tutorial, we're going to discuss about very interesting topic which is web-based applications. So far, what are the applications we have written like the core Java applications or even JDBC applications? Those are applications are called as console applications or the standalone applications. So how standalone works like suppose this is my computer. Within this computer only I have my program and this will execute here and it will print the output here. It's not like I'm not accessing this applications from different source. Suppose let's assume this is my computer and this is my Java application within my computer. Just trying to draw my computer. Okay, and this is my Java app. So what I'm doing is I'm just creating a Java application here. I'm running the Java application in this machine only and I'm getting on output in this machine only. So I'm not accessing any of the Java application from outside. So this is called as standalone applications. So standalone application will actually available within the same machine and it will run the code in the same machine. You will get the output in same machine. So now we are going to a step ahead and we are looking for web-based applications, which is like this application is not available in this machine. It will be there in a different machine. So what are the Java application we have? This is available within a different machine. This machine will have the all kind of Java applications and here this machine is called as server because this serves services. So I'll be calling server machine, and this particular machine, what was my machine, it is called as a client machine or system, you can say anything. So this is my client machine and the applications, what are the applications we have, these are reside within the server machine. So the server machine can be any OS, either Windows or Linux or Ubuntu, Mac OS, anything. It can be anything. So within that we'll be keeping our application. What I'm doing is I'm just sending a request saying, suppose if I want to execute this particular program, suppose if I want to read the data from database, saying I just want to read the products. So what this server database, this server machine actually having communication with the database. Suppose this is your DB. In this case, DB can be reside within server machine or outside server machine. It can be a different machine, or you can for now we can consider the DB also resides within our server machine itself. Though what server machine is having the Java application and DB, and whenever you're making a request from client machine saying get all the product list. So what server machine actually do? It will actually run this application, which is actually reading the products, and this Java application will communicate to database systems. So in database, it will retrieve the data. Once the data is retrieved, it will send back the request back to client machine. So here in client machine, we can have any kind of client software which can able to display the output. The client softwares are like browsers and all. Um, Browsers or any other Java application, whatever you have, you can just need to pass the request. So you just need to have a request like get all products. So what this call will go to a HTTP request, and it will actually communicate with the server machine. So the request format will be HTTP request. So once it will actually communicate to server machine, it will actually call the particular Java application for getting all the products. It will fetch the data, and finally it will actually return within HTTP response format. So these are all the formats will be used for communicating each and request and response. So with this HTTP response, what our browser will do, our browser can able to display the result within client machine. Suppose this is your browser. So once you get the results, then within the client machine browser, it will actually list out the results saying so and so users are available within the database. Likewise, it will actually list out the results. So these are the typical HTTP architecture will work like. So for this, to achieve this, what the previous before to the Java guys, what the previous technologies like C or C++ or Perl, what they did is they developed a interface called as CGI, which is Common Gateway Interface. Let me clear out this. I'll show you how actually the Common Gateway interface looks like. Let's see how Common Gateway interface will look like. So which is short name, we can call it as CGI. So the CGI is actually developed using C or C++ or Perl. So these are all the programming languages that are actually used for developing this common gateway interface. So with this, they can able to provide HTTP related services. So what they have implemented is this: suppose they just have a server machine. They just have a server machine. So with the server machine, within that they have implemented a HTTP request accessor, which they have named as HTTP-T. It is actually taking all the requests are coming from outside. Suppose there are n number of requests are coming, so all the requests are actually taken care by the HTTP-D. So this one you can consider as request 1, request 2, and request 3. So three different requests are coming from three different sources, and they'll be having CGI program. So those many number of CGI shells will be created, and depends on each request. This CGI shell actually takes the responsibility of calling the particular program, and it returns the response back to the uh, client. Same way for second shell. Here we will be putting the load balancers and all. You can able to put it here. So these are the typical CGI interface will actually looks like. The major disadvantage with CGI program is why this is not so much popular is because it takes a lot of time and to performing creating CGI shells and accessing the applications, and also the processor load will be very high because each and every request actually create a CGI shell, and that makes the processor load heavy, and whenever the request is gone, then only the processor load will be getting down. So these it completely depends on the processor based. That is the reason this is not much popular, because if there are 1 lakh records are coming, 1 lakh requests are coming, so uh, the system will go down. So that's a kind of difficulties we are facing with the common gateway interface. To get out of this, we have a feature introduced within Java, which is called as servlets. Servlet is a technology which is used for creating a web application. In Java, we have a API provided for servlet. With this servlet, we have many interfaces we can able to implement, like generic servlet and HTTP servlet, and different servlet interfaces we have. We can go through one by one. Don't worry. And these servlet interfaces actually provides communication faster compared to the CJ application. Let's see how the servlet architecture will look like. How actually with the servlets, how can we able to get the responses? Let's see it now. Suppose consider the same way like it CGI. Let's assume this is our servlet. And consider the same way like how we are seeing here, the same way the requests are coming from. So different requests we have. These requests are coming from different sources, and we'll be having, in this case our application is not directly resides within the server. It actually takes one web container. Let's assume this is your container, and we'll be having a servlet or your application within a web container. So web containers are available. There are different open source web containers like Tomcat and all. Within that, we will be hosting our servlet. So what will happen is for each and every request, one separate thread will be created for that. Just consider these your thread 1, this is your thread 2, and thread 3. So for each and every request, one thread will be created within the web container, which is you can say there are different web containers we have, and for now we are looking at Tomcat, so which is one of the open source popular web container. So for each and every request, one thread will be created within a web container. So with this web container, each and every thread will be actually communicate to this servlet. It will perform the operation, and once the response came, it will return to the particular request holder, whatever it is. So suppose this request 1 is from browser and request 2 is from Java application and request 3 is from different source, even from different C application or C++ application. So different sources can able to call this web container thread, and once they just need to make a request, like how we are making like get products, the same way they just need to make a request saying get all products. So for each and every request, one thread will be created within a web container, and each thread will actually communicate to a servlet, and it will get the response back to the request holder. Compared to the CGI interface, this servlet architecture, this is very lightweighted, because in CGI we need to create a CGI shells and to communicate to the program. So for each and every request, one CGI shell will be created. So here the processor load is very high. But compared to CGI, this is load is very low, because it actually uses the threads, not the processors. So threads are very lightweighted. So if you see my core Java tutorial where we discussed about multi-threading, so there you get to know like how threads are faster, because threads are resides within the processor, but the processor itself we need to initiate, so it resides within the OS. That's the difference. So compared to CGI, this servlet application is pretty much faster and pretty much accurate. And again, we don't need to take care about creating multiple threads for each and every request. This web container, whatever the Tomcat we have declared here, so that actually takes care of creating each and every thread for each request, and this burden we don't need to have. This takes care of Tomcat, and we just need to have a servlet and deploy it to the Tomcat server. That's it. That's our job. So these are major difference between the CGI and the servlet. Make sure, guys, in interviews you should answer. You should explain both the technologies and differentiate them, and tell the interviewer like the how this is benefitarily good compared to the CGI. So that's about this very introduction to servlets. How actually this is better than the previous technologies like CGI. This particular servlet is implemented within Java. So this is a Java technology, and CGI is from C++ or Perl. So let's get into the details like how we can implement our own servlet, and how this web container we can configure, and how to make our first program to run, and how to make our multiple requests are coming, how actually this web container is handling these things. We can discuss in further tutorials. So CGI I'm not going to discuss because it's not useful, but even it's in C++, so we're not going to touch that. And now we are going to touch with the servlet programming. Let's continue with the next tutorial. Thanks, guys.